I guess it was a comfortable one for you, but it's nice to get a bit of a roll, isn't it? 4 wins in a row, things are clicking sort of all over the park.
Yeah, I mean, we won every quarter. I was a little disappointed in the third quarter. I just thought we tried to be a bit too flashy at times, and we paid a bit of a price for that. So they kicked 5 goals, but outside of that, I think we played the way that we wanted to play and gave them a good test. I was pretty pleased with the first quarter. They were ballistic in the first quarter. Freo, they were trying to play so fast. Although we had a few tackles broken, I think we did well enough defensively to, get the ball back off them, and they ended up scoring 4 times. We had 8 shots. We just didn't finish our work off well in that first quarter. But they came to play fast. That was pretty obvious, and we expected that. And I thought our response overall was good.
Interesting you bring up that third quarter. Did you have to sort of get the message out there to rein it in a little bit, or did that correct itself?
No, I asked the players at 3/4 time. I said, "What do you reckon I should say, boys?" And they told me. They knew. So, they sort of coached that out of themselves. And I thought, the last quarter we played with good control and just kept it basic. And that's all we need to do. If we do that well, we're hard to beat.
7 rounds in now, Fags. Do you feel like the team's found more of its groove now? Because it does have a different look about it this year, obviously.
Yeah,
Ashcroft coming in.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, there's probably 5 or 6 new guys in there. Yeah. Connor McKenna, Jack Gunston, those two. Yeah. Wilmot hasn't played a lot of football with that group. I think we are starting to do that. And even our losses. I mean, if you now look back, Port Adelaide's a pretty decent side. Albeit I was unhappy with the way we played that day, but we would have needed to have played well to beat them, particularly in that second half. And the Dogs are going pretty well as well. So as it's turned out, I reckon our first 4 weeks were a pretty tough draw, and we've been able to get ourselves going on the back of the Collingwood win and play some pretty decent footy.
Murray's already asked the opposition coach about Will Ashcroft's goal. We better ask you.
It was a pretty special goal, wasn't it? So was Sonny Walters in the last quarter. There were two goal of the year contenders, I reckon. So Will's got that capacity. Someone kicked a goal like that a few years back, didn't they? But it wasn't at such an acute angle. I reckon it was Daniel Wells from North Melbourne. They sort of kick it in mid-flight in the air. Not on a check side. No, that was a pretty high degree of difficulty. So he's given himself a chance to win a car, I guess. But there's a lot more footy to play this year.
He's such a professional sort of character, isn't he? But I reckon he let his guard down after that one. It's probably the first time he surprised himself.
Yeah.
What he's capable of.
Yeah, well, it's good. Good on him. He's been great for us. I mean, he's 6 games into his career. 7 games now. 7 games into his career. So I think Will Ashcroft's got a pretty level. He's a level-headed lad, and he's one of those blokes that just wants to keep improving. So as long as he keeps that attitude, he's going to end up being one of the great players at the Lions.
Not to take away from any of the other players that you've mentioned who have come into this side, but what difference do you think Will in particular has made? He's really clean at ground level. He doesn't fumble too often. Generally puts a teammate in a better position with his disposals, and it just helps Lockie, and it helps Dunks, and it helps Huey McCluggage because, I think there was a bit of a view around football last year, and it was probably a little bit fair, I guess, that if you stop Lachlan Hill, you stop Brisbane. I think we've got a few more strings in our bow in that midfield area now, and Will's just added to that.
How's Dane Zorko feeling? He obviously copped a head knock and went off with a hamstring injury as well.
Yeah, so we don't know the extent of his hamstring injury. He missed a fair bit of time in the pre-season with a hamstring tendon injury. We're hoping it's not the same. We're hoping it's just a normal sort of soft tissue injury rather than tendon. So we'll wait and see on that. That was a pretty vigorous sort of tackle where he hit his head on the ground. I don't normally comment on umpires, but I didn't think they protected the heads all that well today.
It's been a bit of a topic too, so you're surprised to see that sort of play, given the climate around dangerous tackles at the moment?
No, because I don't think the players mean to do it. I just think we see it we think the game's easy. The game's really hard and it's really fast, and there are spur of the moment decisions made. You'll go to every club. Nobody coaches players to do that, and it's been around for a long time, the dangerous tackle, but it's still not going out of the game. And that's the reason for that is it's hard to get it right in the spur of the moment all the time. They're just human.
But you're saying that today it felt a bit different in terms of the way they were tackling in general. Is that what you mean?
No.
So that's what you were saying.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, not at all.
So you just say like what you basically your point remains that it's just difficult to balance that.
For the players, it is.
Yeah.
I was just a bit surprised today that a few high tackles were what was called play on. I think the responsibility of the tackler is not to get the bloke around the head. But it seemed to me today, and I might be wrong, that the umpires were trying to interpret whether or not the bloke was actually ducking his head and deserved to be tackled in that manner. The bloke with the ball's got to be looked after.
Zorks didn't come off for an assessment, did he, at the time?
No, but that would have been because the doctors would have decided that he was fine.
Yeah.
I don't think we should second guess the doctors.
Yeah.
We've obviously got 2 big games coming up, Carlton and Essendon. What did you like from today that you're hoping can transfer over to those next 2?
I thought the best part of our game today was our clearance and contested work. We scored heavily from that part of the game. And I thought our pressure, particularly centre forward, to force turnover, they were both good parts of our game.
Just asked about Jack Payne sort of quietly going about his business back there. Forwards are doing their thing, but that was a pretty important position in the pre-season lockdown. How have you found his the way he's gone about establishing himself?
Yeah, his growth's been really good this year. I think it's the benefit of just playing every week. You know, his career, he's been at our club now for, I think, 5 years. Is this his 5th or 6th year? I can't remember, but he did have an injury that kept him out for a long time, early days. And what's happened is just, with Marcus Adams and Darcy Gardner being around, he was a little bit in and out of the team, but what's happened now from finals through to now is he's got continuous games, and I think he's growing in confidence. He's certainly a big, strong lad, and he didn't need to go into the gym to do that. He's sort of naturally built that way, but his ability to intercept, mark and spoil, he complements Harris really well. It's good that he's been able to do that, and hopefully he can keep going.
Just a couple on Tasmania, if we can, before we finish off, Chris, just with the news today that federal funding has been secured.
Oh, so that's the case, is it?
Yeah, that was announced by the Albanese government today, that federal funding has been secured for a new stadium, which is probably the last or second last domino to fall. Are you confident?
What's the second last? What's the last domino that we actually get the licence?
Ask you about. Are you confident that a majority of the 18 presidents will vote in favour of a new team?
Well, I felt like they were the terms and conditions. If they got the approval for a stadium, then it was just a fait accompli. So I hope that is what happens. I'd hate to think that they've gone that far and then the presidents knock it on the head. So hopefully that's not the case. And Tassie's had to jump through more hoops than any other team to get a licence. So I think the fact that they've jumped through all of them, bar the last one that you just talked about, I think that just should be done and dusted.
Okay, and what do you think, you are a group about Tasmania, we're aware, what do you think this will do for the code in that state? It's a heartland rules state, of course. It's not like the Gold Coast or GWS in that regard.
Yeah, I've thought for quite some time now that the game at local levels has been in a little bit of trouble in Tassie. Just players choosing not to play at the highest level, maybe playing country footy or in lesser competitions because they can maybe make a little bit more money there. And I think a lot of the young people have just felt like because they don't have a team on their front door, that the AFL's not seems like a long way away. And I'm just hopeful now that if that licence is granted, that the young people down there will now feel very close to being able to play AFL football because there's a team right in their state and it's reachable. And I think if they put all the right measures in place at the lower levels to bring the talent through, then we'll see Tassie become that state again that produces a lot of really good players, because it has over the years, but I reckon it's died off just a little bit lately. I'm hoping that having a team there will give it that boost that it needs.
What does success look like for a Tasmanian team? Does it look like a West Coast or an Adelaide who have won, a few premierships in 20, 30 years?
That's hard to know. I mean, I don't know exactly how they're going to build the list down there, and that's critical. And the other thing that's critical is having, I guess, wise football people set the club up. Like, I think Giants did it really well when they got Sheeds in as the coach, because I think he's just footy wise. So those sorts of decisions are going to be critical. Obviously, the club wants to become, in time, I want to become good enough to be able to win a premiership. That's the aim of everybody. But the short-term focus should be to get all the right things in order, so the team has got a chance to compete.
You mentioned that obviously the team will be wanting to build up their local talent, but obviously in the first few years it'll require a lot of interstate players.
Yeah.
I guess from Gold Coast perspective, their selling point is the lifestyle of the coast. As someone who's played a lot of footy in Tassie, what is their selling point when they inevitably have to attract interstate players there?
Yeah, it's probably no different to Geelong in lots of ways. They're a little bit removed from Melbourne. I think there are players in the league who prefer to play in an environment where the lifestyle is just a little bit quieter, and the people, because they're smaller places, the people are really friendly. So I don't see it any different to that. It'll attract certain types of players, country blokes that have come from the country, I reckon. I've lived in Hobart. It's a fantastic city, and they'll be rock stars in that town. So. It wouldn't be a bad place to play if you're a young bloke, I reckon. And even if you're an older player with a younger family and you just want to have a quieter sort of upbringing for your children and all that sort of stuff, I think there's lots of benefits to it.
Do you imagine it'll attract a lot of attention from players who are already considering, the news today? Do you think other players around the league who have been thinking about moving, do you think they're already considering Tassie, perhaps?
I don't know. I can't answer that question. You'd probably have to ask the players. And it's only new. It's only new, isn't it? The news. So time will reveal that. And I think the stadium will have to be built first before there's a team. So it's a fair way off. It'll be 2028 or something like that, won't it? So long time to get it right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
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 Cheers.